the stakeholders that have connected through various live streaming platforms to follow today's discussions. My name is Nomfundo Maseti, and I'll be chairing today's PGS meeting. I am a member responsible for gas regulation at NERSA. With me today, with regards to the decisions that are going to be taken, I'm joined by the members of the energy regulator, who are the members of the piped gas subcommittee. I'm going to introduce them to you so that you can be able to just calibrate their voices when they speak. I'd like to introduce Madam Precious Sibiya, who is the chairperson of the Audit and Risk and the member of the energy regulator. Madam Sibiya.
Good morning, everyone. As introduced, my name is Precious Sibiya. I'm the member of the committee, and I would like to greet the members from NERSA and also the members of the public who are joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sibiya. I would like to now introduce the member that is primarily responsible for the regulation of electricity and the member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, Mr. Willibrod Majola.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, the members of the public and everybody at NERSA. My name is Willie Majola, responsible for electricity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I would like to introduce the member primarily responsible for the regulation of petroleum pipelines at NERSA and is also a member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, Mr. Musovukile Mkhize.
Greetings to you, Chairperson, all on the call, as well as the members of the public following us through the various live streaming platforms. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are also joined today by the full-time regulator member and the CEO of NERSA, and also the member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, Madam Nomalanga Stole.
Good morning, Chairperson, members of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, and everyone that has joined us for this particular subcommittee meeting this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Stole. So those are all the members of the energy regulator that are going to deliberate on the substantive matters that we need to take decisions on in today's meeting. With that, we would like members for you to consider the proposed agenda. Nothing has changed from the agenda that was published before this meeting. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of the adoption of the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Madam Stole. Thank you, Madam Sibiya. I also support. Thank you very much, members. Members, I am now on item number 4 of the agenda, which deals with the declaration of interest. The forms have been uploaded for you members to complete them and submit to the secretariat of this committee. If there is any declaration of interest that you would like to bring to the attention of the committee by exception, members, you may raise your hand at this point. I see that there is nothing. With that, then I would like to proceed straight to the consideration of the substantive matters for today's meeting. We are on item number 5. Item number 5 is the submission that deals with Sasol gas maximum gas energy price. This is for monitoring of compliance for the period 1st July 2024 until 30 June 2025. Over to you, Mr. Numalo and Ms. Magoda.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be taking members through the submission. Morning, Chair. Greetings to members and staff and members of the public. Chair, the submission in front of us, it's actually for noting note approval. And the purpose, this is the purpose of the submission. This is an annual submission, Chair, that we do for monitoring of Sasol's compliance with the maximum price of gas. And Chair, the members are requested to note the Sasol Gas's compliance with 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act, and also its compliance with Section 22 of the Gas Act. This is for the period FY25, which is from July of 2024 to June 2025. Now, Chair, in terms of the authority of this submission being in with the members, this is guided by Section 33.7 of the delegation matrix. Then, Chair, with regards to the compliance itself, we received data from Sasol with regards to for testing for 21(1)(p). So table 4 to table 7 is the outcomes of the test, and Sasol complied with Section 21(1)(p) as per the Gas Act. And then, Chair, with regards to Section 22, just a point of correction in 4.20, that it should speak to not only table 5, table 4 to table 7. Chair, you'd know that Sasol has two maximum prices, one for end consumers and also one for traders. Given that they have these two uniform prices for both customer category, they have the test for Section 22 of the Gas Act was positive, and they have complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act, Chair. With regards to the recommendations, these are as per paragraph 14. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity before we get to the decision part? By show of hands, members. It seems that there are no questions. With that, members, I would like you to then consider the recommendations that are read out by Mr. Njesula, which is that the PGS is requested to note that Sasol Gas has complied with Section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act, as it did not charge prices that are above the maximum price that was approved for the period indicated. And number two, to also note that Sasol has complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act, as it did not unduly discriminate between its customers when it charged the actual prices of the gas. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of this recommendation. Thank you, Madam Spear. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Advocate Stole. I also support. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, members, for the support. We are proceeding to item number 6, which is Mupani Biogas Pty Ltd's application for the registration of the operation of its biogas production. This is in terms of Section 28 of the Gas Act. Please take the matter as having been read and emphasize the key aspects to assist the members to get to the decision.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to everyone present on the call. The purpose of this submission is to request the Piped Gas Subcommittee to approve the following. Point A, the application lodged by Mopane Biogas Pty Ltd for the registration of the operation of biogas production activity in the Father Bay Park area of the Mfuleni local municipality in the Gauteng province. Point B, the attached reasons for decision, and point C, the certificate and associated conditions. Section 1.7 of the Pipe Gas Delegation Matrix mandates the PGS to consider the registration of gas production or importation in terms of Section 28 of the Gas Act or of an activity in terms of Item 1 and 2 of Schedule 1. The applicant produces biogas from organic waste for cooking purposes and has provided planned gas production quantities in gigajoules per year. Further details on the process are provided in paragraph 7.3 to 7.9 of the submission. This gas, unlike coal and paraffin, provides clean energy and produces little smoke. Furthermore, the organic waste that could potentially harm the environment and pollute the atmosphere by emitting greenhouse gas is converted to useful energy. In conclusion, Chairperson, it is recommended that members approve the application as per the recommendations made in paragraph 15 of the submission. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, members. Any questions of clarity based on the introduction of this submission? Advocate Sithole, please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I have just 2 points of enhancements in relation to the submission. The first one is that maybe we need to have regular reports on the consolidated registrations of participate or of licensees within the gas industry, rather the registrants within the gas industry, so that we can see how many are there, and as well as how are they contributing towards the alleviation of access to the energy, or to the communities that are really struggling to get access to any form of source of energy. And I think this is more or less in line with what we are doing with electricity, where we are providing regular reports of registrants that we have approved as an organization. And the second thing is that, Chairperson, I think we can enhance the process of considering these applications. It can take 7 months. And if you look at the table 1 under 4.7, the closing date for public comments was the end of January. And if you look at paragraph 3 of reasons, 33 rather, of reasons for decision, it's indicated that there were no comments received. And I just believe that the submission could have been considered in February, and we could have finalized it. And to have a month in between, I think that is just too long. So I'm just raising those 2 points for enhancement, Chairperson, for consideration by the team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sithole. Please provide the response on the second part. The first part, you have to implement it, as we indicated, the annual reports and also the contributions and the regulations or the rules anyway ask for that for the annual production. So if you consolidate all of them, I think it will give a better sense to the members with regards to the impact. So that is something that you must do going forward. Please respond on the second aspect regarding the time that it has taken for this submission. 1 minute for that.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think we take note of the comment and input provided by Advocate Sithole. And indeed, I think as a corrective measure, we will try and make sure that in future, the processing of these applications is done timelessly, and that it should not take more than a month. And I think Advocate Sithole is correct that it really could have taken less time. And I think, Chairperson, we've taken note of that. We will just effect that improvement to make sure that next time these applications are processed much more timelessly, Chairperson. I think there is no excuse for the time taken. I think we have to just accept that it was too long and basically implement corrective measures to make sure that the time will be reduced going forward. I think that will be important. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Okay, all right, members. Now, if there are no further comments, I would like to then take you to the to the recommendations. The recommendations are that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee is requested to approve the application lodged by Mopani Biogas Pty Ltd for registration of its operation of biogas production activities in Vanderbilt Park in Mfuleni local municipality. And this is done in line with section 28 of the Gas Act. I am emphasizing that so that it is there. It's not included in the recommendations. And then also to approve the attached reasons for decision, as well as the certificate and associated conditions of registration. Also just to the team to make sure that the consolidated submission is produced on an annual basis, showing the impact and the production amounts or quantities that is contributed by these registrations on an annual basis and also accumulatively for the past 3 years. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of that recommendation. Thank you, Madam Stolle. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Madam Sbiya. I also support. Thank you very much, members. So we are now stepping off item number 6. We are on item number 7, members, which is the preliminary report on the investigation into the gas leak incident that occurred on Transnet Lily Pipeline. Please introduce the submission.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, the members, the management and staff. Chair, please note that the report contains a few editorial errors. The formula used to calculate the monetary value of the gas lost as a result of the leak was mistakenly omitted. In addition, paragraph 6.83 should not be in the report. Thank you, Chair. Chair, this is a preliminary investigation report into a gas leak incident that occurred on the 18th of November 2025 on the Transnet Lily Gas Transmission Pipeline near Katomena area of the eThekwini municipality in the KwaZulu-Natal province. The investigation was conducted in terms of Section 4D of the Gas Act, which empowers the energy regulator to investigate incidents involving the licensed gas infrastructure. Chair, the purpose of the report is to highlight the key findings, risk identified, and recommended regulatory actions on the incident. The leak was detected in the Katomena area near an informal settlement adjacent to the pipeline servitude. Emergency services, including Transnet response team and eThekwini fire services, were deployed immediately. The affected pipeline segment was isolated and depressurized, and emergency repairs were carried out. The gas supply was restored on the 21st of November 2025, resulting in a temporary disruption to gas customers in the Durban area. The Transnet root cause analysis report concluded that the incident resulted from external criminal interference damaging the pipeline. The perpetrators likely misidentified the gas pipeline for a petroleum pipeline while attempting illegal tapping. However, the investigation found that the RCA has focused mainly on criminal activity and did not adequately assess the internal risk controls or integrity management practices. The incident affected industrial customers supplied through the Sasol gas and SLG distribution networks. Approximately 27 customers who are tapping gas from the affected pipeline were impacted. The value of the gas lost during the interruption was estimated to be 1.45 million rands. Transnet mentioned that the cost of repairing the pipeline have amounted to 150,000, and in addition to the internal repair cost, they've also incurred external expenses which amounted to 468,000 for the fire response services. No major production losses were confirmed by the customers who have responded. The preliminary investigation identified long-standing encroachment on the pipeline servitude dating back to 1993. The investigation also found weaknesses in risk-based monitoring, patrol frequency, and servitude protection measures, which are highlighted in paragraph 6.7 on the report. The investigation team has proposed that Transnet should implement the corrective action addressing servitude protection and pipeline integrity management, which are highlighted in paragraph 6.8 on the report. Additional information is still required from Transnet, Sasol, and the affected customers to quantify the full impact. Once this information is obtained, the team will conclude the investigation. Chair, the recommendations are on page 32, paragraph 14.1. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity on this submission? By show of hands, members. Advocate Stolle, followed by Madam Spear.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, again, on this one, my points are really meant for enhancements. If you look at page 3, paragraph 4.6, the last sentence there, we are saying a representative from GES was present during the initial response and undertook to return once the excavation was complete. And that sentence, for me as a reader, it's incomplete as to whether that particular individual from Sasol did come or not, and what was the conclusion. So I just thought that that sentence maybe should have been elaborated on so that you get a bigger picture as to whether what was said there was done or not. And Chairperson, the other point that I just wanted to raise was on page, let me just see, page 5, the green stem, page 5 to 6, paragraph 5.4, where we're talking of the issues that this particular leak was, or rather occurred in a densely populated urban area. And what came into my mind was that shouldn't we as NESA really try and cover such matters in our customer education program, especially that maybe some of the individuals that are within these dense human settlement areas are not aware of any transmission or of any gas transmission pipeline, and therefore then they tend to really temper on it, whether knowingly or unknowingly, and as a result there was this particular incident. So I just thought that as a suggestion, as an organization, we could consider doing this as part of our customer education process, or ensure that the licensee does this, especially in such densely populated areas. Chair, I think this will really help in terms of ensuring that lives are saved. I'm happy to note that in this particular leak, there were no lives that were lost. But we cannot assume that this will be the case in other future incidences. So we need to really ensure that we educate members of the public that are in the areas where these transmission lines are really going through. Chair, that is just my point. As I said, my points were just for enhancements. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Stolle. I'm going to Madam Spear.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me continue to thank you to the presenter where Madam Stolle ended. Chair, this area that is affected now, I happen to know it because it's not too far from where I normally go. The issue is dealing with the root cause. I understand that from Transnet side as the owner of the pipeline and Sasol as the owner of the product, there are investigations they are doing. But the issue is the root cause. And they're all admitting the issue of the long-standing encroachment, because both these entities and Transnet, they built that pipeline. The servitude was protected years ago, but life happened. And the informal settlement went in there. And it's now difficult when now they get in after the pipeline, because it is so much that the issue of the protection of the servitude is now very critical. Where I'm sitting, I doubt if it was a criminal element, but it's an issue of saying people are just looking for a space and they will dig there until they reach this this pipe, because they're just building houses anyway. I saw on the report presenter that you are also recommending that they put signage, etc. If you look at one of your reports, there is signage. There's a signage for a pipeline there. I think also there's a water one passing there, and there is signage. But unfortunately, in that area, you can even put it as high as it is. They will just pass it and even dig it out and throw it out and do whatever they want. I think Transnet should think about a process that is beyond just teaching the individuals, because you can teach me while I'm there, but where will I move? I will say, yeah, I hear you, but they need to look at a bigger issue of saying, how do we relocate those people who are on that servitude, do what they were supposed to do years ago when they were coming in? Because I'm telling you now, we are going to deal with this issue in 6 months' time or in 3 months' time, because another group of people will come in and dig there, and they will also damage the other side of the pipe. So we'll be dealing with this. So I just wanted to for the team, when they are engaging with them, to look at a sustainable solution, not a short-term solution of saying we will fix here and tell the people that are there. The issue is bigger than that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Spear. Mr. Mkhize?
Thanks, Chairperson. Thanks to the presenter. Yes, I think somehow I've been covered by Madam Spear. I just want to say that around 2019, during the 2020 financial year, there was an incident at Cloud where people died. They were stealing. It was organized stealing of petroleum products from the pipeline. Yes, we can only speculate and say maybe they were just taking, can speculate and say they were stealing. To the extent that there was a time where there was even a thought of saying, maybe don't let these markers be seen, because they kind of like also use that now to say there's an opportunity for us to steal something here. I think there is one big player that we don't emphasize enough. It's a municipality. Everything in this country happen in some municipal jurisdiction. And it's high time that municipalities and those that are leading in those municipalities are called to account. You find that there are no bylaws. They allow people to settle there, just move there, and you're saying that there's a long-standing encroachment. But what can Transnet do about an encroachment, especially if maybe there's even a politician that has galvanized that for sake of getting votes? As we know now, we're also going to local government elections. So there is this element that if we don't really address this directly, that the problem is that local government side of things. Even when people mistakenly dig, sometimes in some instances we have had situations where the contractor to a municipal entity was the one digging, and the question, why dig there if really you've got everything? I mean, you're on top of the game in terms of where the assets lie, what the servitudes are. So I think we must look at the licenses, but over and above that, let's also play our role as an authority to call upon the other authority, being the municipalities now in this regard, to really do what they're supposed to do. I will leave it at that, and because you're talking of encroachment, you're talking of root causes and all of that. But we should be able to call a spade in terms of this, and be able to nip this thing at the bud. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Can we answer the question on the first question regarding the completeness of the statement on page 3 on the person who was supposed to return? The rest of the issues are really for enhancements, and you can cover them in the closeout report once you have engaged with these bodies. Please respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think with regard to that paragraph 4.6 that Advocate Sithole pointed to, just to confirm that that individual did come back, Advocate Sithole, I think it was just perhaps an oversight in not stating that. I think the paragraph will then be enhanced to indicate that the individual did come back. And I think, Chairperson, as we've indicated, the rest then will be incorporated in the closeout report, including the inputs that members have provided with regard to this being a bigger issue, and the more stringent measures that need to be taken into account in dealing with the issue. I think including the issue of collaboration with local municipalities and other role players as raised by Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Mr. Milatu, can you and your team indicate because I know that there's been this ongoing initiative around various stakeholders with regards to these issues of encroachment and so forth. Working NERSA has been participating in those activities. I don't know why this is not mentioned as well. If you can please come in there. I don't know if it is you or Mr. Nayo who has been party to this. Advocate Sithole, a follow-up question?
Yes, Chairperson. Chair, I think maybe I don't know whether my input or suggestion on expanding the customer education program is acceptable to the guest team, because I did highlight the fact that, and I think in terms of Ms. Sibia's presentation as well, that in the densely populated areas, as she has also said, that people just go there and build their structures on a land where there are these infrastructures such as the transmission line.
I think it's coming to that, Madam Sithole. They have not finished it. That's exactly what they are, which is the enhancement that they need to do for the initiatives that they now need to focus on. So I think they are still coming to that, and it is something that they will need to factor in terms of their processes.
Okay, I just wanted to make my point, but you have interrupted me or stopped me. I'll acknowledge that and let them come in.
Okay, all right. I just thought that it's going to the same thing, the point that you have already made, just so that they come in on that point and acknowledge that they will take it up, the suggestion that you have made. Mr. Milatu and Mr. Nayo.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Yeah, I think on your question, Chair, we had engagement with the eThekwini municipality to look into the issues of encroachment. It's not only the Transnet pipeline, but there is also Sasol pipeline that is also involved. And we had those engagements some few years back, Chair. But then with this incident, Chair, I had to admit that we need to renew those endeavors, Chair, particularly on these issues of encroachments. I think Mr. Mkhize has mentioned a lot on this that we'll need to revisit and incorporate, as you said, in the closeout report. And in as far as the customer education awareness campaign, Chair, yes, we've been involved with that. We've done that with Sasol. Last year, we had 3 of them in those densely populated areas, Chair, where the pipeline is traversing. And I think the issues about pipeline markers was mentioned here. So you'll get that these pipeline markers are used as poles for erecting the fence for the yard, Chair. And we had that in Rodekop, Ramaphosa, Informal Settlement, and Fuleni Municipality. So we were part of the road shows, being part of the customer education endeavor. And I think in our quarterly reports, we have reported on the, Chair, in this financial year. And I think on this one, Chair, we'll go back to Transnet eThekwini municipality and reactivate all those efforts to look into the issue of servitude encroachments by the communities. But as Mr. Mkhize is mentioning, that the issue is bigger, it also needs a concerted effort by the municipality regarding the resettlement, Chair, of the communities. But we are on it, Chair. We will focus on that as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So on the issue of customer education, as you indicated, it has been implemented. I think what you need to do then is just to strengthen it so that the municipality is the one that takes the lead and do whatever it takes to also just do some awareness drive and education as well to empower the people. And NERSA can also just be part of those initiatives. But I think it is something that, as you indicate, that you need to now sit down with the municipality and the owners of these pipelines and the products such as Sasol and Transnet must also form part of those discussions so that this issue of awareness and education is strengthened and that the municipality will take the necessary measures to protect the communities. I think that's what we can do in terms of just strengthening that aspect. With can I then check, members, if the points that you made are covered? Madam Spear, you covered, especially on the issue of customer education?
Yes, Chair. I hope to see how the final report comes, but yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Stole? Mr. Mkhize?
I'm covered, Chairperson. I take it that this is an ongoing matter, but we need to be able to take firm action around this and put it in the right platforms where possible, as well as tightening the cooperation. I'm looking forward to what is also going to be contained in the final report in this regard. But I'm appreciative of the responses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. Members, now on the On the recommendations are on paragraph, just want to see the paragraph for the recommendations. Can you please assist with the paragraph for recommendations?
Paragraph 14.1, Chair.
Okay, paragraph 14.1. The members of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee are requested to then note the preliminary findings of the investigation that was initiated following the gas leak incident that happened in the Transnet Lily pipeline in November 2025. And members have made a proposal that customer education be strengthened by ensuring that the parties that are supposed to deal with the protection of the pipeline firstly, and also safety issues, that they play the key role, and those are the relevant municipalities as well as the owners of the pipeline and the product that is in the pipeline. NERSA will take part on those. With that, and that's in the final report or closeout report, the team must touch on the issues pertaining to the measures that will be strengthened for customer education and also other protections that are necessary, as well as the impact, overall impact on customers as a result of the leak. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of those recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Madam Sibiya. I also support. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Any input, decision from your side, Madam Sithole? Madam Sithole, are you in a position to take a decision in the meeting on this matter? All right, we will then take note of the majority decision, but we would have wanted to understand, Madam Sithole, with regards to your decision, participation in the meeting. But we'll proceed to consider item number 8. Item number 8 is the 2025-26 annual review of the impact of developments on competition in the gas industry. Please take the matter as having been read and emphasize on the key issues.
Good morning, Chair, members, colleagues, and members of the public. Chair, the purpose of the report is to monitor progress regarding the degree of competition in the gas industry on a more regular basis, with a view to reflect on the developments in the industry since the conclusion of our 2025 determination of the inadequacy of competition in the gas industry in terms of Section 21(1)(b) of the Gas Act, and to establish whether these developments warrant a material change in NERSA's conclusions of the delineation of the relevant gas markets and the degree of competition within those markets. Chair, in order to conduct the review, we identified key developments in the gas industry since our 2025 assessment that may have a bearing on these factors. And to identify these developments, we relied on information gleaned from license applications approved by the energy regulator since the 2025 assessment, sales information submitted to NERSA by its licensed pipe gas traders, desktop research, internal decisions and documents of the energy regulator, external documents, and also stakeholder responses to NERSA's information requests for the purposes of this review. Chair, the main development that we identified that may have a bearing on competition in the industry in the long run is the approval of the 2025 IRP, which allocates 6,000 megawatts of gas to power capacity by 2030, positioning gas as a flexible and dispatchable resource within South Africa's future energy mix, such that gas to power may serve as a catalyst to anchor investments in LNG import infrastructure. Regarding the relevant LNG markets that may emerge once LNG becomes available to customers in South Africa, we have in this annual review started to track the potential value chains and relevant markets that may be established. However, since these value chains have not yet been established, there is still insufficient information on supply volumes, pricing, and other market dynamics to enable NERSA to reach a definitive conclusion on the relevant markets for LNG that may emerge. However, it's noted that competition is likely to remain inadequate regardless of the precise delineation of these LNG markets, given the early stage of development of LNG activities in South Africa. With regards to the degree of competition within the existing relevant markets, we note that unfortunately none of the recent developments have yet had the effect of improving the degree of competition in the pipe gas industry. In this regard, there's been limited progress in new entry and expansion in South Africa's gas markets. Sasol Gas remains the dominant gas supplier, with limited supply options and infrastructure continuing to constrain competition and market growth. While LNG import initiatives and gas-to-power projects may diversify supply in future, their timing and impact remain uncertain at this stage. Furthermore, all the relevant trading markets remain highly concentrated. Barriers to entry and expansion persist due to limited investment in new gas supply and the infrastructure required to enable such supply, as well as delays in some policy reforms such as the promulgation of the Gas Amendment Bill. The lack of viable alternatives for end users also leaves customers with limited countervailing power. And the looming gas cliff poses a significant risk to the sustainability. It's therefore clear that there have been no developments that have thus far had the effect of significantly improving the degree of competition in the gas industry. But Chair, there are various submissions that will be considered in today's PGS on what NERSA is doing to try and improve the situation, and we will also continue monitoring developments annually and will revisit this assessment, especially if material changes occur before the next comprehensive determination of inadequate competition in 2027-28 in terms of Section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act. Chair, with this background, we therefore request the PGS to approve the report on the 2025-26 annual review of the impact of developments on competition in the gas industry, attached here to as Annexure A. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Du Plessis. Members, the report is before you for deliberations. Before we get to the decision, by show of hands, if you have any issue that you would like to raise. Madam Stolle, followed by Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks to Ms. Du Plessis for the presentation. Chair, I was just wondering as to whether this report, in terms of the recommendation, should be for approval or noting. My view is that it should be for noting because there's been no change, especially if you read the report and also when you look at paragraph 511 specifically that says that there's been no developments really that are significant such that we can say that there's been an improvement on the issue of competition within the gas industry. So I just thought that maybe the request to have this report approval may be incorrect. It should just be for noting. But I do appreciate the report as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate Stolle. Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks, Madam Du Plessis, for the presentation. Madam Du Plessis normally tries to get my inputs prior, but this week has been difficult. And I just want to say that when I look at paragraph 5.3.1, there are some changes there. It's made in many crafting. There's a line that talks to, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a sixth line, which talks of a demolition of the refinery. It's a cessation of operations also than the demolition. We know that there was a fire at that refinery. And also to talk of, the site redevelopment rather than market conditions. Maybe to look at that because the market conditions are subject to some events. So one would rather say, not say rather than market condition, because I take it that the market condition is an outcome of such events. And I appreciate the report as it is serving before us. More so, I think it would also help to reflect as to what we could do as a NERSA, whether we do need to tweak some of our methodologies, processes, just to outline that, so that we can see also our limitations, and then be able to also look at the changes at a policy level. I'm glad that the draft gas master plan as well as the integrated resource plan are referred to. I still hope that the Gas Amendment Act is going to be processed sooner so that it can be enacted. That bill can be enacted so that we can also get some improvements that are likely to come out of that. But the report is noted and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Ms. Du Plessis, may you please provide responses?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, yes, first of all, I think it's Sitole's comment regarding whether or not we should be approving or requesting the PGS to approve or note this report. I think it's Sitole, in terms of the delegation matrix, the PGS has the power to approve this report, but I think we can revisit the delegation matrix because I think you make valid comments regarding the fact that it might be more appropriate for the PGS to note rather than approve this report. Chairperson, with regard to Mr. Mkhize's comments, I think these comments are mainly for enhancement, and thank you. We note that and we will enhance it. And yes, with regards to reflecting on what NERSA can do, and what changes, for example, could be made to our methodologies, those factors are actually, or things are contained in our next submission regarding measures to improve competition and investment in the gas industry. But I think Mr. Mkhize makes an important point that we could maybe in the next report reflect a bit more or place a bit more focus on those factors in this report as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me check quickly from the members if the responses addresses the issues that you raised. Advocate Sithole, then I go to Mr. Mkhize.
Yeah, Chairperson, from my side, I'm not saying that we should change the delegation metrics. I'm just basing my input on what is contained in the report. The report seems to be saying that there are no developments that have been observed that are significant enough in terms of saying that there's improvement in the competition situation within the gas industry. And I'm saying that if there is none, what are we approving? Should we not be noting the fact that there is no improvement? And that is just my point that I was just trying to say. Let's clarify this. Let's not say if the metric says we must always approve. Should we approve even when there's no development or no change within the industry in terms of competition-related issues that we want to establish? That was just my point, but I don't think I am answered, but maybe it may be something that needs to be considered in committee. And hence my point to say that if there's no development or change, what are we approving? We should be noting. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Can we just invite Mr. Chokwe? I think if you look at the entire paragraph 5, it deals with the activities that took place, but these activities that took place were not significant enough to change the state of competition and the approach that NERSA has been using to define the market for purposes of checking market power. So as we define the market, we do it for checking the market power and the need for approving maximum prices. So because the changes are not significant enough to prevent NERSA from approving maximum prices, then it is stated that they obviously did not change the market definition. So can we be assisted on this, because it is only at the time when the market developments are significant enough such that the role of NERSA of approving maximum prices will not be needed. And maybe, I don't know whether maybe the proposal from Madam Stolle is that only at that stage that we should be able to approve the report when there is that significant change. If I am paraphrasing maybe the concern that is raised, I don't know. Mr. Chokwe, can you please step in here? I think this is important in terms of the role of this subcommittee when a report of this nature is tabled before the subcommittee. Mr. Chokwe.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, and good morning again. Chairperson, in terms of the delegation metrics, this report supposed to be approved. But we hear Ms. Tolle to say if maybe there are not so many changes, of course there are changes that may not be looking significant. But maybe we can just give an example that when we have this function, we treat it like the terms of reference of ARC. Ms. Sibia is in the meeting. I can indicate that it's in the legislation that they should be looked at every year, even if when we are not changing, we approach them to say there's not that should be changed. They still approve them, despite that despite the fact that there are no changes. Therefore, even with this one, Chairperson, with the slightest movements that are happening in the industry, our advice would be this committee must approve that. But indeed, we'll have to look into when we do our delegation metrics, or when maybe there are no movements at all, whether we shouldn't have a paragraph for noting, because as things stands, the function of this committee when it comes to this matter is approval. The noting is not provided for, but we hear Mr. Tolles' argument that indeed, if there are no changes at all, noting would be proper. But we should actually also make sure that our delegation metrics are catering for that. For now, noting is not catered for, only approval. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chokwe. I also just take the other proposal from Madam Sitole that says that we can maybe discuss this matter further when we get an opportunity in committee, because we will get an opportunity to discuss even the changes and also the roles at that point, or even how dynamic the delegation matrix should be in these instances. So maybe we can also take it up, because I think we might have other views as well as the members of the committee, which we can only discuss them as a governance issue only when we deal with the delegation matrix. Okay. All right, Mr. Mkize, I just want to check from your side. I checked from from Madam Stolle, and I got the answer also from Mr. Mkize, sort of from Mr. Chokwe. Mr. Mkize?
Yeah, Chairperson, I'm covered. Over and above that, I think such reports, it also would help to put them in the reading room so that they are also available for the broader ER team. So that because it's got a lot of information with regard to developments, not only this one, but other reports of similar nature. I think it helps in terms of enriching the understanding, and especially for those that are not part of PGS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkize. I think you can take note of that, Mr. Mabunda, to put it on the reading room so that other members of the ER who might be interested in understanding the development, the changes that have taken place, even if such changes are not substantive enough to change the role of NERSA in looking at these matters. But I think, as Mr. Mkhize indicates, they contain interesting information that could assist in other matters or the approach. If you can, please assist with that. All right, with that and the issues that are raised by the members, including the future consideration of of the role of the committee when it comes to this report, whether for noting or approval, and what will be the circumstances that warrant approval or noting, will be discussed at a future in committee as a governance matter. And then with the recommendations, it is recommended that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee approves the report on the 2025 annual review of the impact of developments on competition in the gas industry, as attached in Annex A. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of the approval of this report. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support Madam Spear. Thank you very much, Madam Spear. Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, members. I then move on to item number 9, report on progress made in the implementation of measures to improve competition and investment in the gas industry. Please try to link up the two so that there is no confusion in terms of the focus of item number 8, which we just considered, as well as the focus on this specific item. You've got 2 minutes to introduce this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, by way of background, in order to fulfill its mandate in terms of the Gas Act, NERSA initiated and concluded an inquiry in 2023 to identify measures to facilitate competition and investment in the South African pipe gas industry. Because as we had noted in the previous submission, that competition has not improved, and we require investment to enable the growth of the industry and also the development of competitive markets. Chairperson, subsequent to the approval of the inquiry report, the team has been reporting back to the ER on an annual basis to provide updates on the progress in implementing the measures identified in the inquiry. Chair, the inquiry identified 11 measures that have the potential collectively and individually to facilitate competition and investment in the pipe gas industry. Some of the measures fall within NERSA's existing mandate and control and can be implemented by NERSA, and some of the measures fall outside of the scope of NERSA's existing mandate in terms of the Gas Act and will require action by the policymaker, such as the promulgation of the amendments to the Gas Act, as well as the amendments to the pipe gas regulations. Chairperson, first, further details of the measures and the implementation thereof are outlined and discussed in more detail in Annexes A and B attached to the submission, as well as in paragraph 4.5 of the cover submission. And for brevity, I will not list them now. However, I would like to just highlight some of the noteworthy progress made in the implementation of these measures during the course of financial year 26. These include, from the policymaker side, some progress in that Cabinet approved the IRP 2025 in October 2025, and Cabinet also approved the Gas Amendment Bill for submission to Parliament in December 2025. There's also been a number of engagements by the team within the Gas Division with the DEE, DTIC, IPP Office, Competition Commission, TNPA, Transnet Pipelines, and other stakeholders regarding the development of policy initiatives to support and drive growth in the South African pipe gas industry. NERSA also made a submission to the DEE with proposed amendments to the third-party access provisions of the pipe gas regulations, and there's also an MOU between NERSA and the TNPA that was concluded, and a joint press release on why the MOU exists the priority areas and future regulatory focus was published with a view to improve investor certainty. NERSA also developed a consultation document on guidelines for NERSA's assessment of price and tariff discrimination and applications for distinguishing features to improve transparency on how these are handled by NERSA. Furthermore, the GPT and GLC departments had numerous engagements with licensees and potential licensees on their pricing, tariff and license applications. The key focus of implementation for the next financial year would be the development of uniform network code guidelines for the gas industry to make sure that there is clarity, certainty and fairness regarding access to infrastructure, particularly since we are now going into a period where we need new sources of gas and where access to infrastructure would be needed to deliver that gas to end user customers. Chair, just to also note that colleagues throughout the gas division and other divisions within NERSA have worked together to achieve these milestones, and we thank these colleagues for their teamwork to implement these measures to improve competition, investment and ultimately achieve security of supply in the gas industry. We also note that submission and its attachments have since been edited by language editors, so some of the editorial issues that you may have picked up in the document have now been addressed. Chair, with this, we would like to request the PGS to recommend to the Energy Regulator to approve the report on progress made on the implementation of the measures to improve competition and investment in the gas industry attached here to as Annexure A. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Du Plessis. Members, any questions of clarity on this submission? If no questions, the recommendations have been read out. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of the recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support the recommendations. Thank you, Madam Sithole. Madam Sibiya, are you happy to support the recommendations? Can you check, Mr. Mabunda? But we've got the majority. Mr. Mabunda, can you check, given the challenge that Madam Sibiya indicated earlier on, just so that we make sure that we still have her in the meeting. All right, with that, members, I would like to then proceed to the next agenda item, and that is item number 10, final assessment of Novo Energy's application for a maximum price of gas. The period for this is 1st May 2025 to 30 April 2026. Please, as you introduce it, please clarify why this matter comes at this time. I know that it was clarified during the preliminary assessment, but it would be important to just remind members again, as there were certain challenges, but it is still important to consider the approval for monitoring purposes. Please introduce the matter. You've got 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Before the members, this is a final assessment of Novo Energy's application for the maximum gas price for the period starting from 1 May 2025 until 30 April 2026. Chair, I would like to bring to members' attention that there were no delays in processing this application on our side. We were experiencing challenges in terms of receiving this application, and we received it late from the applicant, and have tried our best to finalize the application as soon as possible. Chair, in addition, we have advised the applicant to work on a new application as this one is expiring soon. Chairperson, the aim of the submission is to request the PGS committee to recommend to the energy regulator to approve Novo Energy's application for maximum gas price for the period 1 May 2025 until 30 April 2026, and to also approve the reason for decision for this application. Chair, I would like to draw members' attention to table 1 of the submission, which provides a summary of Novo's application. In a nutshell, Novo is applying for a maximum gas price of 337 rand, 82 per gigajoules, as indicated in Table 1. So Table 1 also break down the calculation of all the components of this overall maximum price, so it's such as cost of gas, trading cost, as well as a profit component are provided in the same table. Chair, moving on to Table 2, which details the breakdown of both Novo Energy as well as NESA's calculation of the trading cost. The differences in calculations are reflected in percentage, and they are on the far right of Table 2. Chair, the overall difference translates to 4.45%. And this is mainly due to differences in OPEX and net working capital, work, as well as tax calculation. Chair, the difference in OPEX is due to regulator disallowing the funding cost in Novo's OPEX. The methodology allow for long-term interest through REP multiplied by work. So the recovery of funding cost as part of OPEX may result in double counting since these costs are already accounted for in the work calculation. Chair, removing this cost leads to a difference of 2.26%. And this difference in OPEX also affected other calculations such as the working capital calculation as well as the tax calculation. Chair, in terms of work, the difference stem from MRP risk-free rates calculation. We utilize the most recent data available. And in addition, we resorted to use the previous capital structure as the licensee did not provide justification for the change of a capital structure. Chair, in terms of tax calculation, the difference emanates from OPEX as work as well as net working capital, and the fact that in our tax calculation we adhere to the requirements of the tariff guidelines, which is what licensee are required to adhere to as well. Chair, in addition, we compared the current maximum price with the previously approved maximum price, which is reflected in Table 3 of the submission. And as can be seen, there is a 7.35% increase in the maximum price. And the main driver for this increase is the cost of gas. Chair, Table 4 compare NESA as well as Novo Energy's calculation of the overall maximum gas price. Chair, the overall difference is 4.55%, which is below the NESA threshold of 10%, and to compel NESA to which compel NESA to require the licensee to amend the application. Thank you, Chair. The recommendations are on page 8. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity on the submission for the final assessment of the application by Novo Energy? By show of hands, if you have any specific question or area of improvement, Madam Spear.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the presenter. Chair, the issue of the difference of the net working capital, let me go back to the exact quote that the team is saying. It's in 4.9. I think it's the second last sentence or the last sentence. It says, NESA resorted to the previous financial application capital structure, and the presenter confirmed it. According to Novo, the capital structure has been updated on the yearly internal valuations done in March 2025. But NESA resorted to the previous capital structure. I'm looking for the reason, because now there are two different values, and they will be different. So as NESA, why did we resort to previous capital structure? Is it are we required to do that as per methodology? Because yes, I hear you when you say they did not motivate using the new one, but is there anything that actually says to us, this is the one we need to use? Because when someone challenges this thing or even go as high as court, hypothetically, we will be asked to say, on what grounds do we stick to the previous capital structure? That's what I wanted to confirm, Chair. On what grounds are we sticking to it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Spear. The question is very clear. Please let's provide a straightforward answer and base it on the methodology with regards to what we consider to be an efficient capital structure in the methodology in terms of debt as well as equity. Can you please start from there and then also indicate the reason for the change this time around and the impact of that change? Those are three things that will get to respond directly to the question by Madam Spear. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Madam Spear, for the question. Chair, the guidelines require the capital structure to remain the same. To remain the same. And should the licensee change the capital structure?
Cite the section of the guidelines, the tariff guidelines, and the minimum, because firstly, the 70-30 is the minimum, and
Yes,
it is meant to ensure efficiency. So I'm emphasizing this, and I guided you on this. So please start there and then go to any change, what necessitates the change, because now you must talk about the actual of that capital structure. But start with the principle that is in the methodology, which is the minimum for efficiency target. Please start there.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Chair, as you have alluded, the minimum and efficient capital structure is 30% as well as 70%, which is what we have approved previously in this application. So in this application, they come back and they have changed the capital structure without providing more information in terms of what's alluded to this change in the capital structure. We have allowed the licensee time to respond to us in terms of providing further information in terms of what's contributed into the change of the capital structure. And hence we decided to then resort to the previous capital structure.
Madam Spear, can you please indicate whether you are answered on this? Or maybe before you do, let me take the hand from Ms. Magoda. Can you please, Ms. Magoda, come in and add here?
Yes, Chairperson, the reasoning behind NERSA using 70-30 is because of the fact that NERSA is moving from the principle that debt is usually cheaper than equity. And therefore, by assuming 70% debt, NERSA believes that this will lower the overall cost of capital, which helps the maximum price to be more affordable to consumers. Now, what we say in the methodology is that that is the default or the minimum that NERSA will use. If at any point the licensee wants to change, they must provide evidence to NERSA to say, indeed, there is evidence that they now have less debt or more debt, or there's a difference in the equity. In this case, our reasoning is that although there has been changes, the applicant never came to NERSA to say this is the evidence. And therefore, based on our methodology and to ensure that there is transparency and compliance with our own methodology, we had to comply by not accepting what the applicant is saying because we didn't have evidence. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Madam Spear. The team has explained that the guideline is very clear to the licensees that NERSA will first of all consider the minimum that is considered as an efficient target for capital structure. So this licensee has complied with that previously. So when it made the change now to deviate from that minimum capital structure, it did not provide justification this time around. And the team then, having no information on that, it had to default to the methodology, what the methodology requires, so that they make sure that they still achieve the efficiencies. However, in the total calculation, you will see the difference there, which is below 5%, even on the overall calculation. So the licensee will still get the benefit of the overall tariff the overall price and revenue that it required, but the team must then make sure that on the issue of the capital structure, that the audit will be focusing on that. So it will be subject to the auditing as part of the RRMs. That is number one, so that we can then make sure that if there's a clawback, there must be a clawback so that they don't unduly get overcompensated for whatever reasons here. If there's a cost savings that can be derived from the minimum structure, that's the first one. The second one also, when it comes to the net working capital, I know that you have not raised this specific one, but there's a huge difference. And therefore, the team, again, was guided by the guidelines. Even on that, it is going to be subject to the RRM audits so that then the clawback is considered. On the third one, is really the tax, which is also overstated from the applicant side. And there's a huge difference again of about 24%. Again, that third aspect is part of the audit. So it will be approved because it's a forward-looking. It's going to be approved and then be taken up during the audits for purposes of the clawback. Let me check, Madam Spear, if you are happy with those the explanation and the overall impact of the fact that that change has been done, but it had no effect on the overall application itself, except that NERSA must do the further verification through the audits. Madam Spear, I'll come to you, Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the clarity. I'm fine, Chair, as long as there is a mechanism of clawing back. Yeah, no problem. Thank you to the team.
Thank you very much. Team, I hope that you have taken note of the guidance that have been provided in terms of those three aspects and the importance of emphasizing in the reasons for decision, the clawback issue as part of the audits of the RRM process in all these three aspects as enhancement. Mr. Mkhize?
Thanks, Chairperson. Just listening to the responses, it's not necessarily to say that the team respond here and now exhaustively so, but in a situation where an applicant is not providing information, we should find other means really to address that by way of letting what we have used prevail in some way. I'm saying this because the benefit of a different or what could be less optimal capital structure will still prevail as long as the overall difference is less than the 10%, thereby actually benefiting that applicant in terms of what the maximum would be. So the maximum will be higher than what it would have been had that person used, or that applicant used the optimal capital structure. So I'm saying let's consider this, because it could be a way of sneaking in certain things that actually tend to have an upward pressure on the price instead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. I think the point is taken. Tim, if you can also do that in future. But in this case, I think there was a back and forth between the team and the applicant. Up until a point, the team had to now process this. Otherwise, there will be a risk of non-compliance for purposes of the maximum price. Hence, it was also late, as you can see here. But then it is not all lost. As indicated, the audits will be done so that if there are cost savings as a result of that capital structure, then those cost savings are going to still be realized because a clawback mechanism will be applied. Thanks so much, Mr. Mkhize. Members, with that, I would like, as I've already indicated, to add those 3 points and also in the body of the RFDs, reasons for decision, for the team to make it clear that when it comes to the net working capital, the capital structure, and thirdly, the taxation that has been claimed, that in those 3 aspects, there will be clawback that will be applied and that these matters will be subject to the audit as part of the regulatory reporting manual process of the energy regulator. But for now, they are going to be allowed, not accepted, just allowed to go through subject to those. So if that language is used carefully in the RFDs, and also for the pipe gas subcommittee to recommend to the energy regulator to approve Novo Energy's application for a maximum gas price for the period 1st May 2025 to 30 April 2026, as reflected on the table in terms of the components, and also all of the other elements that have been mentioned in this. And the reasons for decision will also be amended to take care of the changes that have been directed by this subcommittee. By show of hands, members, if you are in agreement with the recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Madam Spear. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support. Thank you very much, members, for assisting the decision making. The next matter to discuss is the policy brief on unlocking South Africa's gas to power market. And then the focus is on risk as well as challenges in achieving the 600 megawatts that is stipulated in the IRP 2025 target, which is the 2030 target. Please, the matter is here for noting. Introduce the matter. You've got 2 minutes to do so. I will time you accordingly.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to members and colleagues. The purpose of this submission basically is to request the subcommittee to note the policy brief on unlocking South Africa's gas to power market, the risks and challenges in achieving the 6,000 megawatt as per RP 2025, attached as Annexure A, and also to request the subcommittee to approve that the policy brief be shared with the Department of Electricity and Energy. Ma'am, I'll take the matter as read. However, I just want to emphasize that this brief is one of a series of briefs that will be coming to the subcommittee. This is the first one that the division has basically developed to look at the issue of the 6,000 megawatt as a point of reference. And the reason that we also are doing the brief is basically to assist the regulator to anticipate any challenges and risks that may affect the achievement of the 6,000 megawatts by 2030, as we are aware that currently we are looking at the gas cliff and probably we might only have gas up to 2028, and also with the MRG that has been proposed maybe up to 2030. Therefore, it is very imperative that by 2030, there should be something that comes up to assist the market in terms of gas. So we'll be looking at the LNG. So this brief basically is looking at these challenges. Without going deep into all the challenges, just to also indicate that this brief is the first one of many sets that will come. This one basically looked only mostly on the gas side of the challenges, and the other ones that will be coming, ma'am, will also be looking at what are the changes that are being faced by the electricity department, and that will be done with conjunction with the colleagues from the electricity division. Ma'am, on page 5, that's where the policy brief start. Basically, from page 5, it indicates on page 6 what we have identified now as the challenges, which are the cost efficiency of the proposed land-based storage and regasification solution, the complex environmental and land use approvals processes, financial currency and market risks, and also the institutional, fiscal, and legal risk. Without going into details, ma'am, I'll want to just highlight on page 8, which basically indicate the intervention that can assist in us and be able to meet the 2020-2030 gas to power projects. And those ones are listed from 3.1.1 to 3.1.7. Having said that, ma'am, this is the brief, and I'll leave it there and give you the recommendation on 14.1, which basically is to note the brief and also to approve that the brief be shared with the Department of Electricity and Energy. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nenjarele, for the introduction of the submission. Members, the submission is before you for deliberations. Any inputs, guidance? Madam Spear, please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks to the presenter. Chair, this presentation is required for the country, as we are all aware of the issue of the gas cliff that we are approaching. It is a very critical project. But my question is on the process side, because these things get delayed because somehow the process is not correct from the beginning. And we cannot afford delays in this one. The team has done the good work. I don't have a problem with that. My issue, Chair, or a matter of clarity that I need is that we as NESA are the regulator. Yes, we can have such experts of gas, but I will think that the leadership needs to come from the department side on this matter. As NESA, we are highlighting to them to say there is this gas cliff, and then work with them in actually now dealing with the policy that relates to gas going forward, because we are sort of the overseer at the end of the day. But I'm just in doubt about what is the role of the department. Where are they? I heard the presenter saying they will give the report, but I'm expecting leadership from their side because they are the policy makers. And also, if you can confirm, because my understanding is that projects remained in the former DMRE. So did this section move to the DEE department? So just to confirm that, because I know with petroleum, it's split. The other one moved to the other department, the other one remained. I'm not sure about gas. So if that can be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Spear. Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks, Mr. Nejele, for the presentation. I just got a challenge with regard to the recommendations themselves, but it's good, it's pointing to the right thing. Particularly when it comes to de-risking investment and mobilizing private capital. I think on some of these, we like identifying the problem, but I think we should further move into proposing options or possible solutions, and that will actually be pushing us to work with other stakeholders in terms of how this could be made possible or practicable. I'm just concerned that almost everywhere you call the issue of currency and this comes up. The issue of us not wanting to dollarize the market comes up, and therefore we just to go a step further. And I appreciate what Madam Spear has said regarding the department taking the lead. But sometimes when certain things are not forthcoming, that's when then we need to do something that one would call some kind of a backward integration. And then you are able to then engage, but having gone even a step further and say, these are the things I'm looking at, help to enrich them. That would be my proposal in terms of the policy recommendation, just to take it a step further. And then maybe in the next report, you talk about how you have fared with regard to these recommendations, which are good recommendations, and as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nanjarada, may you please come in with the sort of to respond to the questions and clarity sought by the members. I think maybe start with the one from Madam Spear. I think you do have the provisions of the Gas Act insofar as what we can do, and also just put this clearly within the context of the regulatory advocacy and the role of the regulator in also developing policy regulatory briefs and what they intend to do just to assist the department in terms of implementation and risk of implementation from our side. Can you please then deal with it also from that perspective, the first question, and then go to the other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ms. Bia, in terms of, I think the first thing that you asked was about whether when you have done this, who do we share with? This area where we're discussing now, we basically share that with the Department of Electricity and Energy, because the DMRE basically is more responsible for exploration. So on this part, we do discuss with the DEE. And I think just to indicate that we already had some discussions with them on other issues, including the gas strategy. So this is where we're going to be dealing with the DEE in terms of regulatory advocacy when we forward this document to them. And the second part, I think, on Mr. Mkhize, yes, I do understand in terms of point 3, point 1, point 6 about currency and everything. Yes, I think as indicated, we said that this one was just the first series of policies that we'll do. Then it means that going forward, then we'll definitely go into deep into what are the options that we may propose, so that when we have further engagement with the department, we are able to indicate basically on some evidence-based information that is there that we can share with them as to what are the options available, and in that way also maybe have discussion with the Treasury Department in this area. Yes, definitely we'll take that enhancement, and further briefs will basically go deep into those issues that have been raised, so that they can be very clear and have precise recommendation that can be used by the department and the Treasury. I hope I've responded to the issues raised as of enhancement. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll check with the members, but members, I just want to check with you the timing of the report being submitted to the department. I'm asking you members just to make you aware or to remind you that in the electricity subcommittee, we looked at the report also that touches on the risk with the IRP, and that in the subcommittee, the members said that there are very good points in that submission, but there's a need for a workshop on those issues of the risk and what are the proposed solutions. Mr. Majola can maybe will be aware. I'm sure the electricity subcommittee will be in a position to consider that in April, if I'm not mistaken, on that particular matter, as they are finalizing now those issues within the electricity division. So the question is that we are also doing this on the gas side. Perhaps there's a need to coordinate, as Mr. Nanjarada has indicated, and then when the matter is these matters on the challenges are submitted to the department, they submitted as a consolidated report by NERSA, so that we don't submit in piecemeal. Gas side and electricity, we can coordinate all of this. And then also when that workshop takes place, which is requested by the ELS, the gas team will also be part of that. In the end, we will then have a consolidated report that then goes to the department as part of the regulatory advocacy work that the regulator needs to do. And then maybe later on, once the department is satisfied and engaged with the regulator on this work, then maybe there will be a need also just to rope in stakeholders so that we can get more input from the stakeholders, which will actually assist in this regard. Mr. Majola, I would like to give you an opportunity. Your hand is up. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, indeed, I think I do support the proposal that we do coordination between the gas side and the electricity side so that we come with a consolidated approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. Thank you, Mr. Majola, on that. Madam Spear, I think I just want to check now with the responses that were provided. Did you forget something, Mr. Majola, before I proceed?
No, apologies. I'm covered.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Madam Spear, are you covered on that? Thank you very much. Mr. Mkize? Covered, Mr. Mkize?
I'm covered, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, then on the issue, I want to start with that recommendation. Maybe we can, on the recommendation, and just to see with the show of hands, that the report or the policy brief, the policy brief that has been prepared, that the energy regulator, the PGS notes this and recommend to the energy regulator to then submit the policy brief to the department only after it has been consolidated with the work that is with the risk assessment report that the electricity division is working on. I just added that for purposes of what we have agreed upon. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of this. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Madam Spear. Mr. Mkiza, are you happy to support this report, and also just that part on consolidation and coordination, just the timing of the submission to the department that I added?
I do support. I just was not so clear here, because if we want to submit this, why doesn't this fit into the report that's for the electricity side, and it becomes all encompassing? And then that is just one report instead of appending two reports. I'm just asking.
No, it's not. We don't have that report. Remember, also in this committee, all that the work of this committee has been done, and it is confined to gas aspects. And there are other aspects on electricity. So all that we are saying is that when it goes out, it will be looked at sort of differently, because it will be piecemeal. So this report is a baby on its own that must be considered on its own. We don't know whether now this report must only be consolidated to the electricity one, of which at this point we have not seen. It's not yet there. We just know that the electricity division is doing some work. And so the report can be on its own, and where then there's work on the coordination, then they will decide how to incorporate the two reports to become one report only at that point. And for purposes of the decision, I am saying that I'm only adding a part that says, in as much as it needs to be shared, the content of it needs to be shared with the department, can it be done only after a coordination and a consolidated report has been prepared? That's the only thing. So it covers all of the other steps that must take place in between.
Okay, I support it as input into the consolidated report. Thank you. I support.
Thank you. Mr. Advocate Sithole, are you happy to support? Okay, we've got the majority. Thank you, members. We then proceed to the next report to be considered, which is the annual report on the implementation of NERSA's strategy for a gas, renewable energy and hydrogen partnership in South Africa for the 2025-26 financial year.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to members and colleagues. Before I proceed with the presentation, Chairperson, we have been advised by RSU to amend the purpose and recommendations to approval in order to align with Section 7.1 of the pipe gas delegation matrix. I'm assuming that will be acceptable to the members, so I'll proceed with the presentation. So this annual report presents the key.
Sorry, Ms. Khoza, Mr. Mkhize's hand is up.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Mkhize, your hand is up. Is it on this presentation?
Apologies, it's a lingering one. It's a lingering one.
Okay,
Apologies.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Khoza, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. This annual report presents the key developments in implementing NERSA strategy for a gas, renewable energy and hydrogen partnership for the 2025-26 financial year. Members previously engaged with the progress report on this matter in November 2025. So the focus here remains on ensuring that South Africa is adequately prepared for the 2028 gas supply cliff and on supporting the development of LNG importation, cross-border gas supply, and long-term indigenous gas development. So the updates on the key projects that we are monitoring are provided in Table 1 on page 3. I'm not going to go into details, but I'm happy to answer questions relating to that. And then the key highlights for the third quarter and fourth quarter stakeholder engagements include interactions with the Department of Electricity and Energy and PASA as detailed in Table 2 on page 4. Just to focus on the DE engagement, the highlight there is that the government of South Africa and the governments of South Africa and Mozambique, they have signed an intergovernmental memorandum of understanding, which is what's called an IGMOU, on the joint development of energy infrastructure projects and the enhancements of energy trade cooperation. The IGMOU aims, amongst others, to strengthen energy and gas trade cooperation between the two countries. So in relation to gas, because that IGMOU is a combination of gas and electricity projects, in relation to gas, the DE's priority is the implementation of the IGMOU, the gas aspect of that IGMOU, which will include the establishment of a gas working group. It's a bilateral one between the officials here in South Africa and some state entities, including NERSA as well, and same would be done for the Mozambican side. And then that group will work on the issues of addressing the issue of gas supply and also concluding there's another part which relates to the ROMCO concession extension in Mozambique. It's one of the areas that the department is working on, and also securing the long-term gas volumes for the South African market through one of the state-owned entities. The details of that, Chairperson, are provided on pages 4 and 5. And I just need to mention here, Chairperson, that IGMOU is, as far as I know, it's not in the public domain, so I wouldn't feel comfortable getting into the details of what's in there in that IGMOU, but we've just summarized it on pages 4 and 5. And then outside the IGMOU, it is also important to note that the gas bill, as mentioned by Louise, has been introduced in Parliament on 5 March 2026, and then now we just await the parliamentary process to unfold. So based on the guidance from RSU, Chairperson, the annual report is submitted to the PGS for approval. So just to amend that paragraph in the recommendations on page 14, it is recommended that the PGS approve the 2025-26 annual report on the implementation of the strategy for a gas, renewable energy and hydrogen partnership in South Africa that was approved by the Energy Regulator on 27 February 2025. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Khoza. Let me check if members have any specific input on this report. By show of hands, members, if you do. I see no hands from the members. With that, then, members, the recommendations on paragraph 14 that the PGS is requested to approve the 2025-26 annual report on the implementation of the strategy for a gas, renewable energy, and hydrogen partnership in South Africa, as was previously approved by the energy regulator on 27 February 2025. This is just the actions that have taken place, just to show the progress that has been made in terms of those specific action plans or actions that came out of the strategy. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of the approval. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Can I be assisted for other members? Madam Spear, are you happy to support? I'm struggling here also with the quorum. Mr. Dlamini, please assist.
Yes, I'm watching the screen, Ms. Maseti.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Spear. Can I have Mr. Mkhize and Madam Stole?
Advocate Stole did indicate that she's having connectivity challenges. I did inform you on the chat.
Yes, okay. Mr. Mkhize, are you still with us? I'm having a challenge now, RSU. I support from my side. We are only 3 members now. This is now a challenge. And I'm looking also at the time. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you. I think we are covered then, because we are now at least 4, so that we can be able to proceed with the rest of the agenda. Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize, for the support. We move on to item number 13, a report on stakeholder workshops conducted by the Gas Regulatory Division for the period April 2025 until March 2026. Please take the report as having been read and identify the key and significant actions that were taken and the impact thereof, should there be an impact, or how you link the impact with the work going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is a report based on workshops that we held in the division with various stakeholders. And this, as you said, is for the period April 2025 up until March 2026. Chairperson, we held about 30 workshops with industry players and stakeholders in this period. The workshops were held to discuss a number of issues affecting stakeholders, such as the regulatory requirements for planned LNG projects, including the project that is earmarked for Richards Bay in KwaZulu-Natal. But we also discussed other issues related to gas prices, the imminent decline of gas supply from Mozambique, and the block exemptions that were requested by the industrial gas users from the Competition Commission and DTIC, and the potential establishment of a gas aggregator for the market. And in general, we also then discuss issues of collaboration between NERSA and other regulatory bodies. This includes the Competition Commission, TNPA, as well as the IPP office. And all this really was to share insights with these regulatory bodies and align processes with regard to basically the importance of ensuring that our regulatory processes are streamlined and that they are in tandem, and basically share information, for instance, with the Competition Commission on matters of investigations that NERSA is conducting. And the Competition Commission also shared with us similarly matters that they are investigating, so that when those matters get to finality, we don't surprise each other in terms of the outcome that might actually affect the mandate of each regulatory body. Chairperson, the engagements were had with numerous stakeholders, and these are listed on Table 1. And this includes the companies that are mentioned there, including the likes of main players such as Social Gas, SA, Competition Commission, IPP Office, and Transnet, and a variety of other stakeholders, including new ones, in the form of the Guha Energy Hub establishment or developers in the Eastern Cape, and VOPEC to discuss the Richards Bay proposed terminal. Chairperson, we then held engagements.
Let's try to wrap up. It's now 3 minutes. Let's try to wrap up. We've got about 13 more items. The meeting is scheduled up until 12.
All right, Chairperson, I'm moving towards wrapping up. I think just to indicate that the workshops were well received by all stakeholders that we engaged with. In fact, they were thankful for the opportunity to have engaged with NERSA to get an understanding of NERSA's regulatory requirements, but also assistance that was provided to them with regard to regulatory requirements. Chairperson, just the recommendations are on paragraph page 7 with regard to the noting of the report in relation to the workshops that we conducted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Numalo. Members, any comments on this submission? A show of hands if you do, members. If not, members, the recommendations are that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee is requested to note the report on stakeholder workshops and engagements held by the Gas Regulatory Division for the period 1st April of 2025 to 31st March 2026. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Madam Spear. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Not sure if thank you, Madam CEO. I also support. Thank you very much, members, for the support. Members, we are now proceeding to the next agenda item, which is the report on the assessment of the competitiveness of maximum gas prices. Please take the report as having been read.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Before members is a report on the competitiveness on the assessment of the competitiveness of the maximum gas prices. The purpose of the submission, Chair, is really to request the PGS committee to note a report on the assessment of the competitiveness of the maximum pipe gas prices since the establishment of the cost plus approach methodology, which was established in 2023. Chair, it is important to note that in conducting this assessment, 2 reports done by RAL as well as GCM were consulted, and they are attached here as Annexure A as well as Annexure B of this submission. Chair, just an introduction. In 2023, the regulator replaced the previous hub bench marked base methodology for pipe gas with the cost plus methodology. The methodology aims to achieve various factors as outlined in the Gas Act, such as to mimic competitive market outcome, allowing licensees to recover efficiently and prudently incurred cost, and also allowing them to earn profits that is commensurate with their risk. In addition, the methodology aims to strike a balance between the interest of both gas suppliers as well as customers by promoting affordability, ensuring regulatory certainty, as well as supporting the sustainability and development of the gas industry in SA. Chair, so since 2023, NERSA has implemented the approved cost plus methodology and has approved maximum gas prices of about 11 licensees. Chair, to assess and determine whether the approved maximum prices of gas since the inception of the cost plus methodology are still competitive, we conducted a benchmarking analysis of firstly LNG, pipe gas traders as well as CNG traders, and we compared the maximum prices with the alternative energy sources prices such as petrol, diesel price, as well as the average thermal coal prices for the same period under review. Chair, for CNG traders, prices were benchmarked against petrol as well as diesel price. And while for pipe gas traders, we compare them to the coal prices. And Chair, the reason for the separation of the benchmarking analysis of these two traders is due to the fact that they both have a unique value chain that characterized their sector, which we thought that it will be necessary to then separate their analysis in order to fully understand their difference dynamic as well as implication. Chair, I would like to draw members' attention to figure 2 of the submission, which basically compare CNG traders' price movement against diesel as well as the petrol price movement for the same period. Chair, it is important to note that these alternative price are basic fuel prices, so they are exclusive of taxes as well as levies, which we thought makes them a better comparator for the maximum price approved by the energy regulator. Chair, as indicated in figure 2, the CNG maximum gas prices remain highly competitive compared to the prices of both diesel and petrol, as evident in figure 2. And during this review period, maximum gas prices has maintained a cost advantage over diesel as well as petrol prices, which makes gas the most cost-effective alternative fuel in South Africa. Chair, I'd love to draw members' attention to Table 5, which basically look at the pipe gas traders in comparison with the coal price movement. Once we've noted with this analysis, we've noted that the maximum prices of pipe gas traders show a positive trajectory, while for coal prices are on a downward trajectory. And Chair, in addition, we also look at revenue analysis. So we had information for 2023 and 2024 as depicted in figure 3 of the submission. And Chair, really the aim of this analysis was to investigate if traders if traders did experience any margin squeeze since the introduction of the new methodology, as this was some of the concern that was raised by traders. Chair, for this particular analysis, the majority of traders have experienced a positive annual revenue growth rates during in 2024, with the exception of 2 traders. And we checked and we noted that the decline in revenue for the 2 traders was mainly attributed to the reduction in gas volume handled in 2026. Chair, for Columbus, the growth is supposed to be 26%. There were missing figures during this analysis. And Chair, I would like to also invite Mr. Isaac in there, if there is time, to also take us through the LNG analysis and also the concluding remarks.
We'll go to the recommendations. There is no time for that. You've taken more than 5 minutes.
All right, Chairperson, I would like to invite Mr. Isaac to take us through the recommendation. Thank you.
The recommendations have been noted. That he will come during the questions. Members, any questions by show of hands? If you have any questions to ask in respect of this submission. By show of hands, members, if you have any questions or maybe some guidance, it's the first time that we are doing this report, and also just to give some perspective on the new methodology and some of the sort of the challenges, and also just looking at the at what the players have experienced. If nothing, members, then we are going straight to the recommendations. Oh, Mr. Mkhize?
I note the report and that we seem to be talking about what the players have experienced. What about the dimension of the involved customers? For example, they do support certain customers. What has happened with those businesses? Meanwhile, has the contribution of gas as a cost element increased to the extent maybe of causing those businesses not to be sustainable in terms of balance? Just looking at it from that point of view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. Can you please respond to the question? I think you should be able to respond to the question if you look at the hubs, because the previous methodology was based on the hubs and now is on cost, and you already have the graph comparing what the prices are that are based on hub pricing as well as the cost. Can you please then show or respond to the question? The current prices are lower than the hub pricing. The hub prices. Ms. Makoda.
Yes, Chairperson, when we compare the cost plus methodology with the hub price, you will note that the cost plus methodology had an effect of reducing the price, which then benefited the customers in that the input cost of the gas has then reduced. Chair, we note that there is deeper information or detailed information that is available on the impact assessment. So perhaps when we introduce the impact assessment report, we'll also touch on that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. You should include that aspect now that I think Mr. Mkhize, I know that you are doing the competitiveness, but I think the impact on customers is important. So to improve on this report for the next time, you must include that element, because remember, you also have the average, the aggregate price results that we look at. Then it will give you a better sense of the prices on an aggregated basis that were charged to customers. Then you will compare nicely with where things are. And it will also just assist the members in terms of looking at the impact on customers. So you already have that information, and then you can just compare and include it here, and any other information that you get, so that you look at the impact itself on customers. I see Mr. Mkhize, you've got thumbs up. So Mr. Mkhize is happy also with that additional enhancement on this. Any other issue that the members would like to raise? With that, members, and the enhancement that has been added for the next report, are members happy then to support this report, the recommendations? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Madam Sibia. Thank you, Madam Sithole, as well as Mr. Majola. Thank you, members, for the support. We now move on to the next agenda item. Mr. Dlamini, I'm kicked out of convene as I was busy focusing on this on the question. Can we then move on to the next item? I believe the next item is
it should be the ROMCO audit report.
ROMCO audit report, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Can we introduce the matter? You've got 2 minutes to do that.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the submission is to request the Pipe Gas Subcommittee members to know the report on the metering audit and inspection conducted on ROMCO pipeline in Mozambique and South Africa, and to know the findings raised during the audit in Mozambique and the findings raised during the audit in South Africa. NESA compliance team and its Mozambican counterpart INP commenced with the audits on ROMCO pipeline from the 13th to the 19th November 2025 in Mozambique, and then proceed to South Africa from 24 to 28 November 2026. In Mozambique, the following sites were audited: the high pressure customer meter station at the CTRG in Rasana Garcia, the high pressure customer meter station at EDM Kuvaniga Energy in Shokwe, and then PSA in Temane. It should be noted that CPF in Temane was also planned to be audited. However, the licensee indicated to the audit team that it was not prepared for the audit, despite INP communicated the audit plan to it in 3 months in advance. Then both parties agreed to conduct the audit at the CPF in early January 2026. However, due to the flood in Mozambique, this audit couldn't take place. And now, on the audited facilities, a total of 10 findings were raised during the audit in Mozambique, of which 3 findings were non-compliance with Article 53 of the Petroleum Operations Regulations, and then 2 were non-compliance with the best practice, and 5 were opportunities for improvement. The audit report in CTRG high pressure customer meter station is attached as Appendix 2 to the submission, and then the one for the high pressure customer meter station at EDM and Governica Energy is attached as Appendix 3 to the submission. In South Africa side, the following sites were audited: the compressor station in Komatipoort, the pressure protection station in Secunda, the online gas chromatographer in Secunda, and then the meter prover instrumentation workshop, as well as the SCADA system in Germiston. A total of 8 findings relating to 2 conditions of the license condition. The license, which is condition 16.1 and 14.2E, were raised during the audit. And then the report on the metering and audit and inspection on Romco pipeline in South Africa is attached to the submission as Appendix 1, and the findings raised during the audit are in Annexure A1 of the attached report. The recommendations are in page 14 of the submission, from paragraph 14.1.1 to 14.1.5. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity on this submission by show of hands? If none, members, I'm taking you to the decision that is sought. It is recommended that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee notes the report on the metering and compliance audits and inspections conducted in the Romco pipeline during the period 13 to 20 November, and again on 24 to 28 November on both South African and Mozambican sides of the pipeline, and to note the fiscal metering and compliance audit report that on the Romco facilities that are in South Africa. They are attached here on Annexure A. Note Romco's compliance assessment against the key license conditions, and the concerns that were raised as indicated by Mr. Sihopolo. And also to note the report on the fiscal metering audit conducted on CTRG, which is located in the border of South Africa and Mozambique in Rassano Garcia. It is also attached here. And lastly, to report on the fiscal metering audit conducted in the high pressure customer meter station in Chokwe is also in appendix 3. With all of those matters that needs to be noted, members, if you can show by raising your hand that you are in support of the noting. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Madam Sbia. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Thank you, Madam Sitole. I also support. Thank you very much, members. We are going to item number 18 now of the agenda, which deals with the 4th quarter inspection report on compliance with license conditions. I'll be very strict here in terms of the timing of the introduction of the submission. 2 minutes in terms of highlighting the key issues on this submission. The 4th quarter inspections, please.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the report is for the PGS members to note the report on compliance with the license condition related to Sasol gas operation of gas distribution facilities, as well as the operation status of the registered gas production facilities inspected in the 4th quarter, and then the progress made by licensee in addressing non-compliance findings made in the first, second, third, and fourth quarter of the financial year, as well as the inspection of licensed facilities that experienced the gas leakage incident in the financial year. Ma'am, 10 sites were inspected as shown in Table 1, and then 5 instances of non-compliance were discovered during the inspection. And then NESA will issue Sasol Gas with a letter of preliminary finding in terms of Section 3.5.1 and the standing instruction 1A of the pipe gas delegation matrix. With regards to the 8 gas production facilities inspected during the fourth quarter, it was discovered that 5 of inspected facilities were not operational. And then the reason for that was that 3 of the facilities are still undergoing construction, while the 2 facilities were no longer economically beneficial and they were too costly to maintain for the registrant. And then 2 facilities were not registered with NESA yet. And then there were also the biogas production entities that place to compress and sell their biogas. And they were advised by the compliance team to first apply for the license a trading license with NESA prior commencing with the trading activity. The compliance team also assessed the progress made by licensee to remedy the findings made during the first, second, third quarter of the year. And then as shown in Table 3 from page 20 to 22, Table 3 shows that 47% of the findings has been resolved by the licensee. Compared with the previous financial years, compliance enforcement has decreased by 29% from 76 in the financial year of 2024-25, and it is 10% lower than in the financial year of 2023-24. The reason for this decline is due to the licensee has not yet resolved the findings made in the third quarter as well as the fourth quarter one. The fourth quarter letter preliminary finding is still to be sent to the licensees. Then Table 4 on page 24 shows the observation from the inspection conducted on Sasol gas facilities that experienced the gas leakage incident. And it is indicated that there was only one cause of incident that led to the gas supply interruption on Sasol gas 2 license area, which was caused by the third-party interference. That is the unauthorized excavation of the pipeline on the pipeline servitude. Chair, the recommendation on page 29 from paragraph 14.1.1 to 14.1.5 of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me check if members have any questions of clarity with regards to the quarterly inspection report. By show of hands, members, if you do. Members, if no questions of clarity, I would like members to raise their hands in support of the recommendations that are on paragraph 14. They are all listed there. Members, by show of hands, if you are in support. I note you, Mr. Dlamini, I'll come back to you. Thanks, Madam Spear. Thanks, Madam. Thanks, Mr. Majola. Thanks, Mr. Mkhize. Thanks, Madam Sitole. I also support. Members, I skipped the other items, item number 15, as well as item number 16. So I am going to item number 15 and 16. 15 is the Sasol gas transmission tariff monitoring. For the period July 2024 until June 2025. Please present the report and take it as read.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take members through. This submission is a monitoring report for Sasol Gas's approved tariff for FY25, Chair. The purpose of the report, Chair, is for the subcommittee to note Sasol's compliance with Section 4H of the Gas Act and also Section 22. Now, Chair, the report is in front of the members as per Section 3.7 of the delegation matrix. And the tariff itself, from a structuring perspective, it's a zonal tariff. And the test outcomes for for section 4H, Chair, is as per table 3 for each zone. And then, Chair, for the and from that, Chair, SASOL complied with section 4H. And then with regards to section 22, Chair, SASOL also complied as the tariff itself, it's a uniform tariff per customer. Now, Chair, what I'd like to bring the committee to is what this report also shows. It's how SASOL actually passes through the ROMCO tariff. The outcomes of this, Chair, is that on our side, we have noticed that this hasn't been consistent with how the tariff should be passed through. Where on some quarters or some months, the tariff that SASOL has passed has been above the ROMCO tariff. Some has been below. And Chair, this has been raised with SASOL, and during the time of the report was written, we hadn't gotten any response as yet. However, they were asked to demonstrate that they haven't over-recovered. With that being said, Chair, the recommendations are as per number 14. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. You can just complete that part in anticipation of the question to indicate that this will also be considered when the application for a tariff is brought to the regulator, and we actually do have one already, and those things will also be looked at during that assessment, and also the clawback mechanism will have to be applied. I think that is important, and also the audits that must be done, focusing particularly on those areas of concerns. So those are the mechanisms that are in place, which you must make sure that you take them into consideration for the satisfaction of the members, and report back to this committee with regards to this concern that you have raised. With that, members, I would like to check if you have any other input and comments on this matter. Okay, it seems members don't have. I think we take the point there that I've already emphasized in terms of what the team must do in order to cover the issues or the concerns that they have been raised. With that, members, can you please show by raising your hand that you are in support of the recommendations? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Madam Sbiya. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support the recommendations for the noting of the compliance by ROMCO. Thank you very much. We will move on then to consider item number 16, which is the report on the assessment of the impact of the new maximum price methodology. Can we then be taken through this one up until 11:34 or 11:35 for me to be generous with the time? Please take us through the report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The report, the purpose of this report is to request the Pipe Gas Subcommittee to note the impact assessment that has been conducted to reflect the impact of the new maximum price methodology. I'll take the report as read, Madam Chair, and proceed straight to the problem statement that has invoked the development of this report on paragraph 4.3, in which we are putting across the fact that although the framework that has been ushered in by the introduction of the new maximum price methodology since February 2023 was intended to ensure cost recovery and enhance regulatory consistency, concerns have emerged regarding its broader economic and market outcomes. And therefore, specifically, stakeholders have questioned whether the price outcomes under the new methodology may have generated unintended consequences for industrial competitiveness, infrastructure investment, consumer prices, and the level of competition in the gas market. Madam Chair, we conducted a mixed methods type of impact assessment in which qualitative research techniques as well as quantitative modeling was employed to assess the impact of this new maximum price methodology. Opinions and views of stakeholders, particularly consumers of downstream users of gas, were consulted, and we have also attempted to estimate the median pipe gas input demand function to check the efficacy of the new price regime as it was ushered in by the new maximum price methodology since February 2023. Variables such as the volumes under the constrained market conditions were considered, and the index of industrial output and the prices of substitute fuels, particularly coal and diesel, were also considered. In a nutshell, Madam Chair, the price regime depicts inter-fuel competition in the South African energy basket and is revealed through the nonlinear quantitative model that was adopted. There's notable asymmetric responses and nonlinearities depicting that the price regime that has been ushered in by the new methodology has an ambiguous impact on different market fundamentals, both in the short run and in the long run. Madam Chair, we take the findings as having been read, and therefore we do recommend that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee note the report on the assessment of the impact of the new maximum price methodology. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutsau. Members, the report is before us for consideration. By show of hands, members, if you have any questions of clarity or improvements. If not, members, I would like members to then note this. Mr. Mkize, is it noting or you have a question?
Yes, but my question, ma'am, is that in a LNG dominated market, will the pricing still suffice, or they are already working on an evolution of the pricing regime to adjust to that scenario, looking at the developments taking place around the country currently? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkiza, for the question. Mr. Mutsau, may you please respond?
Thank you very much for that question, Mr. Mkize. Yes, we have included the Brent indexed LNG price in the estimated median pipe gas input demand function, to reflect the dynamics that are already in place as we are seeking transition, of course, from the use of pipe gas and potentially to LNG in the near future. So yes, we have considered that aspect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkiza. You covered with the response? Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. With that, then, members, by show of hands, to support the recommendations to note this report. Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. Thank you, Madam Sbiya. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support. Do we still have the CEO in this meeting? She didn't vote in the previous one. I also don't see her hand on this one as well.
Yeah, she might still be experiencing the connectivity challenges.
All right, then. Thank you. Mr. Majola, your hand is still up. Maybe it is a lingering hand. We can then move on to consider the next agenda item. We just finished item number 16, and we are done with item number 17 as well as 18. We are now on item 19, the fourth quarter construction progress report. You've got 2 minutes, please, to emphasize the key aspects just on the construction, on the progress on construction.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the report is for the PGS to note the fourth quarter progress report on construction licenses, which were issued by NESA, and the status of LNG facilities in the 2025 to 2026 financial year. Since 2006, the energy regulator has issued 114 construction licenses for the gas infrastructure around the Gauteng, Free State, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. Most of these projects have been successfully completed, Chair. The total investment across this project is approximately 9.37 billion rands. The amount that has been spent on each project is illustrated in Annexure A on the report. The status of revoked construction licenses remains at 7, and the list of revoked construction licenses is depicted in Annexure B. One new project has commenced during the fourth quarter by Sasol. Sasol Gas is constructing a small distribution facility in the Gauteng, in the Benoni area of the Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Municipality in the Gauteng province. The new installation replaces an old customer meter station and relocates it to a safer location. In terms of a financial impact, the gas infrastructure project cost for this gas distribution facility in the Benoni area has amounted to 5.1 million rands. Several LNG and CNG projects remain non-operational. LNG Hub is currently addressing objections to its environmental approval. Volco Alpha is progressing through a DBSA-led financing and due diligence process. Vuma Gas has failed to submit its quarterly progress report despite having received an extension from the team. This failure constitutes a non-compliance with condition 12.2 of its trading license. This condition states that the licensee must furnish NESA with the required information in a form or manner and timing specified by the energy regulator. NESA will issue preliminary findings requesting the licensee to remedy the non-compliance and indicating why a notice of non-compliance should not be issued in terms of Section 26 of the Gas Act. Chair, with this background, the recommendations are on page 8, paragraph 14.1. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity, comment on the on the findings as well as the construction progress? By show of hands, members, if you do. If not, members, by show of hands, that you to show that you are noting the fourth quarter construction progress report. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Madam Sibia. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I also support. Do we still not have the CO in the meeting? Then we are moving on, members, to consider the item number 20, which is the preliminary report on the inquiry into the commercial and operational arrangements underpinning Sasol Gas's importation of natural gas. Please, let's delve straight to the purpose of this report, why we came up with this report, what are the specific risks identified at this point, and what is left to still be done for a closeout report. In that order, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is a report. We are requesting the PGS to approve the preliminary report into the commercial arrangements as well as operational arrangements by Sasol Gas underpinning the importation of gas via the PSA as well as the PPA volumes. We are requesting the PGS also to note that the final closeout report will follow once all of the information has been received, as some of the information was not received in order to conclude on the report, Chair. Chair, as we well know that Sasol Gas has been importing PPA volumes from Mozambique. It was expected to use its best endeavors, and this was crafted into the contract for the supply of gas to South Africa. Over time, Sasol Gas has been improving or doing improvements on the wells in order to ensure that it maximizes the gas supplies to South Africa. It has also installed loop line 1, loop line 2, as well as a compressor. However, we've seen that over time, there has been the introduction of the new gas fields that are under the PSA agreement, which is now it's a new agreement, and therefore that gas was meant for a gas power plant in Mozambique. Due to the delays in the gas power plant in Mozambique, that gas found its way to South Africa. It was sold to Sasol Gas, and Sasol Gas brought that gas to South Africa. That gas introduced a new way of contracting or new changes from the PPA gas. Due to these changes that has happened over time, the energy regulator felt that it should initiate a report in terms of 4D of the Gas Act, Chair. The scope of the inquiry was meant to check into the commercial arrangements that Sasol undertakes in relation to PPA as well as PCA, and also to check on the corporate structure of Sasol if there is no sharing or using gas by one entity that is meant to be for South African market. Chair, on the evidence that we've been able to pick up is that currently Sasol Limited, which is the mother company, has created an entity in South Africa called Sasol South Africa. This entity is responsible for all Sasol operations in South Africa, which is the Synfuels business, the chemicals business, the mining explosives, as well as Sasol Gas that falls under it. So Sasol South Africa imports gas, it bought gas, the PPA gas from ENH, and therefore that gas is imported to South Africa annually. However, Sasol also does import PSA gas to South Africa, as we've already alluded to. We also found out that Sasol Gas buys gas from one of Sasol South Africa's entity called Infrachem, and that gas is being sent to one of, to a company that Sasol South Africa is a shareholder to, which is Natrev. And therefore, we found out that the facility that is used to transport that gas is not licensed, and also that Sasol Gas does not have a trading license for that, because that's different type of gas that is licensed. When analyzing the volume that is coming to South Africa, Chair, we've realized that, or we've picked up that there's lots, that the PSA volumes has been used to plug the shortfall in the PPA volumes. And this is evident if you see on table 1, that over time, over the past 2.5 years, that the PSA volumes have increased from 1.5 to almost 16%. So Chair, when we go to, sorry, I'm just scrolling down here. When we go, Chair, to the preliminary findings, we have found that, Chair, that at, sorry, Chair.
I muted Mr. Dlamini. Please proceed. We don't have time. Mr. Dlamini, please try to keep yourself muted.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. In relation on the preliminary findings, in relation to PPA and PSA commercial operations and arrangements, we could not find any conclusive evidence that Sasol is underproducing the PPA volumes in order to increase the use of PSA volumes. However, when you read in their reports, it just appears that there's a lot of development that Sasol is trying to do on the PPA fields in order to improve on the volumes. However, we'll be able to ascertain this information once we have correlated or we've obtained the information from the Mozambicans in order to ensure that there's no discrepancy on what Sasol has provided. We've also indicated, Chair, picked up that through a restructuring by Sasol Limited, it created a single company entity in South Africa that is responsible for all of its companies, whether it's gas operations or the chemicals business. So we've picked up, Chair, we've picked up that the PSA volumes have been used to plug in the shortfall that the PPA volumes we're starting to see. However, as we've indicated, we are not sure that the PPA gas is being throttled back. However, our evidence, based on the evidence we have, is that the PPA volumes are declining. So we've already spoken about the issue of the regulated asset that is not yet a license. Chair, with that, we'll go to page 18, whereby we're making the recommendations for the PGS to approve the preliminary inquiry into the commercial and operational arrangements underpinning Sasol gas importation of PPA as well as PSA gas volumes. And also for the PGS to note that the final closeout report will follow once NERSA has received and analyzed all the required information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nayo. Members, any questions of clarity on the preliminary findings? I think this inquiry was very important given the gas cliff and also some of the financial implications given the shortfall that Sasol has indicated. So it's important for NERSA to do its own independent verification. So there is still other information before the team can have a closeout report and on what exactly is happening and what is the way forward. Members, any questions of clarity, any suggestions before we get to the decision? I think members are happy to then note the preliminary. Let's Mr. Mkhize, is that the noting part?
No, I just want to get some clarity because I get that there is a reduction in the PPA volumes, but as well the PSA volumes are reducing. They're reducing at the same rate, and the issues of royalty that is being explained, I think is under 6.37. I'm not so clear with that. If you can just clarify as to what is actually happening here. Does the PPA take precedence? You count whatever gas comes out as being PPA, or it's split between the two? Can I just help me understand?
Mr. Nayo, please indicate how the owner of the gas is dealing with this, because I think the impact is spread across all customers, irrespective of whether the customers were receiving the gas that is a PPA one or the PSA one. I think the cost is spread across, and we have seen that in the maximum gas prices. But please assist with the response for Mr. Mkhize and the committee.
Thank you, Chair. The PPA volumes, Mr. Mkhize, are the old legacy volumes that have been coming from Mozambique for the past 20 years. And over time, they have declined as the import of gas has indicated. So what we've noticed is that the decline has correlated with the increase in the production of the PSA volumes. So if you look at it, as I indicated, it was at 1.5 when the PSA gas was introduced in South Africa in 2024, now we're sitting at 16%. So you've had that decline in the PPA volumes, which is when we asked the entity, it indicated that the reservoir or the gas fields are being depleted. However, with the introduction of the PSA gas, it's a temporary stopgap while they're waiting for the power plant to come online in Mozambique. As the FTRM has indicated, the PSA gas now, since it is mixed, because what has happened is that the PPA gas is produced different wells, PSA gas in another wells. However, this same gas is sent to the same central processing plant whereby it gets cleaned. Then from there, it gets measured, sent to ROMCO, to Mozambique, as well as South African market. So because this gas is commingled already, so the entity will use allocation mechanisms through a calculation. However, eventually when it comes to South Africa, as the FTRM has indicated, it will be aggregated across all of the users, and therefore every user will have a part of PSA gas and therefore will be charged a part of PSA gas. That's how it is. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Nayo. Mr. Mkhize, are you covered with the response?
I'm covered. I'll also take it offline with Mr. Nayo. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Members, by show of hands, if you could raise your hand to support the recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Madam Sibia. Can we also see other members? Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, members, for your support. We now move on, members, to the next agenda item, and this is the report on developments in new gas sources in South Africa and neighboring countries for December 2025 to February 2026. Please take the report as having been read, and please mute yourself so that you don't interrupt other speakers and disturb the proceedings of the meeting. Please introduce the report, and you've got 2 minutes to do that.
Good morning, Chair, to members and to colleagues on the call. Chair, I will be brief and only highlight a few key points from the report. Chair, the key issue emerging from the report is that our gas sector is now operating under increasing time pressure as the projected gas cliff in June 2028 approaches. The challenge facing the sector is not necessarily the absence of potential supply project, but rather the limited time available to move these projects from planning and feasibility into operational supply. Most of the initiatives covered in the report remain in pre-financial investment decision or feasibility stages, with expected operations largely concentrated between 2027 and 2029. With that said, Chair, Sasol has confirmed that the methane-rich gas from its Secunda operation could potentially be made available to inland customers between July 2028 and June 2030 as a temporary bridging measure to the gas cliff. However, Sasol stated that the decision on whether to proceed with supplying this gas will depend on factors such as customer alignment, infrastructure compatibility, as well as the necessary approval from NESA. On LNG import infrastructure, Chair, until recently, the Richards Bay Zululand Energy Terminal project was the most advanced LNG project currently under development in the country. The project was progressing towards a final investment decision later this year, with operations targeted for 2028. Members may recall that the court ruled last September that Eskom's environmental authorization for the proposed 3 gigawatts gas to power project in Richards Bay was invalid. This project is positioned as the anchor off-taker for the Richards Bay LNG terminal project I touched on earlier. However, we are now beginning to see the practical impact of the court decision. Chair, just last week, the developers of the terminal announced that they are pushing back the final investment decision from late this year to sometime in 2028, largely due to uncertainty around anchor demand. This shows how these projects, while they are technically separate, they are closely interdependent in practice. A setback in the power generation project introduces uncertainty to LNG import infrastructure, which in turn has implications for downstream transmission projects such as the proposed repurposing of the Lily pipeline. The Kruger terminal, LNG terminal project is the second major import terminal option and remains in the bankable feasibility study phase following a strategic push in late 2025 to secure final technical and financial partners. Regionally, the Motola LNG project in Mozambique remains a more promising supply option for South Africa because of its planned connection to the Romco pipeline. Following the resumption of Total Energy's LNG activities in the north of Mozambique earlier this year, the cross-border offtake discussions have regained momentum, with first gas import currently targeted for the 2027 to 2028 period. Chair, as I'm closing, the core message of the report is that while a number of supply initiatives are emerging, most projects have not yet reached the final investment stage, and the execution window before 2028 is now relatively short. For NESA, this means that regulatory readiness and coordination will become increasingly important, particularly in relation to licensing and pricing approvals, and ensuring that any new supply, be it
please wrap up.
Or LNG can reach the users most exposed to the gas cliff. Chairperson, with those few highlights, the report is here for noting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, before I proceed, we are only left with 2 minutes for the scheduled time of the meeting. I am requesting your indulgence so that I can try and complete the agenda at 12:15, and that will be the hard stop. So I'm requesting cooperation from the team and also from the members. If then we failed to consider all the submissions because of the lack of cooperation, those submissions will not be considered in the meeting. With that, I would like to check if members have any specific questions of clarity on the report that has just been presented? By show of hands, members. Mr. Mkhize, if you can
I
go
think
ahead.
that as a regulator, from our side, we should pay particular attention in terms of collaboration with other authorities to enable the smooth flow of the projects that we license, because we license for investment in these sectors, and with LNG projects, there are many twists and turns, and to try to streamline the process to play our part in that, I think it would be something that is good. So I would just say to the team, look into that. They need not respond, but just to look into that as a way of improving how things are done in this sector. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. That is the enhancement in terms of ensuring that with these things, the action plan is that you need to cooperate with the relevant stakeholders as proposed by Mr. Mkhize. With that, members, if you can raise your hands to note the report and the additional proposal for Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Madam Sibia. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, members. The report is noted. We move on to the next one, which is item number 22 of the agenda, volume balance report for January 2026. Please, the time is 12 o'clock. I would like you to highlight any changes here, any important issues with this report.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning. Good morning to members and colleagues and members of the public. The purpose of this submission is to request the Pipe Gas Subcommittee to note source of gas volume balance report for the month of January 2026. During the month of January, Sasol imported approximately 11.2 million gigajoules of natural gas to South African market. That's averaged when looking at table 2 on page 11 to 12 at 13.0 million gigajoules per month when we're looking at from February 2025 to January 2026, which is just below the expected value of 13.6. And the average of the natural gas indicates that fluctuation, and it suggests that well, the end of financial year outlook is unlikely to be adversely impacted. I will put it that way, Chairperson. And the percentage variance for January 2026 is negative 0.78%, which is within the acceptable limit of international benchmark of 1%. It is therefore recommended that the pipe gas to note the source of gas volume balance report for the month of January 2026. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maluka. Members, it seems all is well with the volume balance report. Any questions, comments from the members? If none, members, by show of hands, if you can kindly show support for the noting of the volume balance report for January 2026. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support the noting. Madam Sibia, I note that you also left with 5% on your phone, but I think you're still here. Happy to note. Okay, we do have the majority. We can proceed to members. We proceed to item number 23, which is the compliance with the rules and regulations on third-party access, and also just to look at the assessment of availability capacity. Please introduce the key aspects of this submission without repeating the title, as I've already read it out for the record. Delve into the issues that are important.
Thank you, Chair. We are requesting the PGS to note this report as NESA we are required, or the licensees are required in terms of Rule 20 in order to publish or to show to stakeholders that what level of uncommitted capacity there is in their pipeline. So, Chair, in the main, what we found out on the 3 licenses, Romco, Transnet, as well as Sasol Gas, that they do have uncommitted capacity in their infrastructure, albeit it's not used at the moment. And this is mainly because of the lack of gas or shortage of gas that has been highly highlighted. And there's sufficient capacity at the moment to go in. However, there are plans, I think Dumisane's report has indicated, of the ZE terminal in Richards Bay. In fact, I think last week they did publish to ask for EPC contractors to come up with plans or designs for that facility. It is hoped that the facility will come online 2028, 2029. And it is believed that the available capacity will be used at that particular time. So most of the other capacity that is used is by third parties such as SLG or Kwande Gas and other entities that are still trying to bring gas into the country, Chair. With that, Chair, we're requesting the PGS to note the reports as well as the inputs from the licensees as they've been indicated in tables 1, 2, and 3. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nayo, for the introduction. Members, any questions on the report confirming that there is still capacity for third parties to utilize their current gas infrastructure? Any questions, clarity? By show of hands, members, if you then happy to note the submission and the findings in compliance with the rules. Thank you, Mr. Machola. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Can I get an indication from, thank you, Madam Sitole, Madam Sbia? Mr. Dlamini, can you please get in touch with Madam Sbia to check? Thank you, Madam Sbia. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. We're now on the item number 24, a report on the implications of the supply of methane-rich gas by Sasol Gas to the market. Please delve into the purpose of this. What have you found and what is the significance of the findings? Only those 3 aspects that must be emphasized. The time is starting now for you, Mr. Ngumalo, to take lead on this.
So, let me do that. I'm struggling a bit with my connectivity. I'd ask Mr. Kotora to assist so that I don't get interrupted during presentation.
Mr. Kotora, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I hope I'm audible. The purpose of this report, Chair, is to monitor the supply of methane-rich gas to the market. Chair, methane-rich gas is meant to supply the external customers of Sasol from 2028 to 2030. It is a stopgap measure for the gas cliff, and it pushes back the date from 2028 to 2030. So this is an initiation of monitoring the supply of this MRG. So, Chair, this is just an inception report, and in this report, the issues that have been raised are also going to be dealt with when we address the Sasol gas maximum price application. So, Chair, it is for noting, but the purpose is mainly to start monitoring developments in supplying MRG to the market and to see whether it will materialize and that it will push back the gas cliff from 2028 to 2030. With that, Chair, we will take the report as read and will ask the committee to note the report, Chair. It will come again next year with more details and further actions that we would have taken. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. The other point to emphasize there, which the team will look at, is the extent to which the supplier of MRG, given the constraints now in the market, whether the supplier will take advantage and exploit its market power for the supply, which now will make NERSA require NERSA to be quite strict in the execution of Section 21(1)(p), which is the price regulation intended to curtail market power, especially if the price of methane-rich gas will be significantly higher than it is, simply because of exploiting the current market situation. So this report will also play a critical role in checking such circumstance, and it will be addressed in the next report by the team. Members, any questions of clarity? It is the first time, but it's a good initiative. If none, members, Mr. Mkhize?
As already stated, that they will be providing another subsequent report. In the subsequent report, they must just find ways of putting various criteria where that are going to use as a measure of whether this is successful or not, or just for mere consideration. For example, that gas will be coming from coal, which one from a carbon footprint perspective expected to be higher than the gas coming from Mozambique currently. Just to cover all bases, because it's easy for some from other quarters to have a negative outlook to an initiative that seeks to be a stopgap measure and assist us in terms of the energy supply in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There you have it in terms of the criteria, the importance of this from the perspective of the security of supply, firstly, but also the impact of the carbon pricing aspects, and also thirdly, the issue that I raised of market power, exploitation of market power, or abuse of market power, which is relevant for purposes of Section 21(1)(p) and other factors that you want to include as part of the criteria. With that, members, by show of hands, whether you note, you are happy to note the report with the suggestion from the members on the criteria. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support, may I get an indication from the other members so that we can have a quorum? Waiting for Madam Sithole as well as Madam Sibiya. If you can be active, Mr. Dlamini. Thank you. So that's thank you, Advocate Sithole. We can proceed then to the next agenda item whilst we are checking Mr. Dlamini. We now move on to the next agenda item, which is the the Geographic Information System. You've got 2 minutes to introduce this matter, the purpose, what you have done, and what are the implications or significance. This is the progress report on the status of the licensed gas network on those 3 aspects, please.
Thank you and good morning, Chairperson. The Geographic Information System's digital representation of the licensed gas infrastructure is up to date with the revised regulatory asset base in accordance with Sasol Gas's annual submission. And a sneak peek into the data analysis shows that the licensed gas traders, the piped gas traders, are supplying over 400 consumers across the network, of which 85% of the consumers are reliant on natural gas and around about 15% on methane-rich gas. And the preliminary sectoral classification of the data shows that most of the customers are in the manufacturing sector, be it metal industry, chemical, building products, and some are food and commercial industries. Okay, and if we move on to the expansion and the upgrades of the infrastructure, I'm not going to get into details. That is detailed on page 14 of the submission. What I think is important to note is the data enrichment efforts that strives to merge the spatial data with the non-spatial data from mapping or charting the flow of gas from source suppliers to tertiary suppliers through end users that are visible from figure 1 to figure 3 of the submission. And also we are extending the data sets with the indicators, licensees indicators relating to promotion of historically disadvantaged South Africans, as well as we endeavor to integrate license infrastructure with approved tariffs that are also the preliminary data that is linked is also included in the report. I think the effort really it is to improve on the insights and the geospatial analysis that we can get from the licensed the data relating to license infrastructure. Yes, and also for easier data management and retrieval when data is requested by stakeholders. I'll return it to you, Chairperson, for inputs.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity on this in terms of the progress and the update that has been done by the team on the GIS? Mr. Machola, your hand is up. I'm not sure if it's for approval, but just wanted to check if there are comments first before we get to that. I see that there's no hand on the progress, and with that, I would like members to raise their hands to support the noting of the progress that has been made and the significance of that progress that has been made as presented. Thank you, Madam Sibiya. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support the noting. Madam Stole, thank you very much also for your support. I move on to the next report, analyzing global gas markets, pipe gas, as well as LNG price dynamics and their impact in South Africa. You strictly have 2 minutes to do this. If you can kindly indicate what have you found and also the implications, only those 2 aspects to emphasize the introduction.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this report is to request the PGS to note the analysis that we've conducted on the global gas markets, focusing on both pipe gas prices and LNG price dynamics and their implications to South Africa. We'll refer to paragraphs 4.2 and 4.3 to reveal the why and the motivation why we are having this kind of report today. I'll take that as read, and then I'll just round up my presentation focusing on the 3 key observations that we have noted, Madam Chair, and also highlighting to members that some of the observations that we've made have been overtaken by events shortly due to the geopolitical conflict in the Middle East and the US-Iran Israel war. But before that recent development, we have observed that market fundamentals have overtaken geopolitical risk in driving price formation in the global gas market to ease price volatility. That is before this incident has taken place. And then our second observation has been that price discovery in the global natural gas market has been driven by LNG supply surge, particularly from the American side, with inventory accumulation in Europe, and before 1st of February, it was also caused by declining oil prices over the period in question and weaker demand in Asia before arrival of their winter. Then the last observation, Madam Chair, is that we still observe that global market connectedness in the Atlantic Basin and in the Pacific Basins has increased, with prices in different regions becoming more co-integrated and hence linked to our own South African price regimes. On that note, Madam Chair, we recommend that the subcommittee note the report on the analysis of global gas markets attached here to as Annex A. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Motsau. Members, any questions of clarity on this report? Mr. Mkhize, your hand is up. Is it a lingering hand, or is it a question for clarity?
Lingering, sorry.
Thank you very much. If there are no questions for clarity, members, can you please raise your hands to show support of the noting of this report? Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Are members happy to note?
I think we might have lost Ms. Sibiya.
Yes, can I get indication from other members if you are happy to note, please? Mr. Majola, are you happy to note the report? Thank you, Mr. Majola. Mr. Mkize? Thank you, Madam Sibiya. I also support. Mr. Mkize, are you happy to note? I think we do have the majority for the decision. Mr. Dlamini, if you can please note that. Yes, although we did not get an indication from Mr. Mkize. With that, I move on then to the next agenda item, request for deferment of submission of previously approved hydrogen research reports to external steering committee. Please.
Sorry, Mama.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. I take note of your support for the previous decision. Thank you very much for that. Please, the person who must introduce this, please just start with the resolution of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee in the last meeting and the reason why there is this deferment. Mr. Dlamini?
Yes, Mama. We have to stop the live streaming because this one is under governance matters, Mama.
Okay, it's not indicated as such in the agenda. Thank you very much for reminding me then about that. We didn't indicate. With that, then we have come to an end of the deliberations that were supposed to take place in the open part of the meeting. Mr. Litsatsi, is there an issue that you want to raise before I close this part of the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Raise it, please.
Yeah, I think there's item number 20. No, sorry,
Please,
ma'am.
Mr. Litsatsi, get straight.
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, all right. I would like to thank the stakeholders that have tuned in to observe the proceedings and the deliberations of today's meeting. We thank you for showing interest in the work of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee. The live streaming is now stopped so that we can